Epa, Super Saiyan chicos and chicas. How are you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing pretty damn good. Today, I want to do some more reaction. So, I want to react to... So, I already made a video where I reacted to Sunny V2 reviewing the whole issue with Mr. Beast and Chris, don't know his last name. So, I watched other people and I want to see what their take is. And on screen, I have this guy called Matt Walsh. So I've seen a few of his stuff. I don't really watch his video. I've seen stuff from Daywire. So that's usually like Ben Shapiro, that guy named Michael Knowles, and him. And there's another guy that's bald. I forgot his name. Andrew Clavin. Okay. So I don't usually watch them. The only person I usually would watch sometimes at the gym would be Ben Shapiro. Because I started watching him when it was the whole like thug life. There you go. So sometimes I watch some of his content, but this one I saw that he makes a video about it. Michael Knowles makes one, and Ben Shapiro today's video or live stream was about or had part of it. So I can't wait for him to do the clip so I review it too. So I'm like, all right, I want to watch and see their views. And then go from there. Especially them is perfect because they're like super like more conservative. So I want to see what they think, and then I'll give you guys my opinion. You know, whole reaction stuff you guys already know. And the link to the video obviously will be in the description if you guys want to watch his real video, which you guys should because that's the proper way to do stuff. But yeah. Anyway, let's get right into it.
We live in a segregated culture, and I don't mean segregated racially, though the left is certainly working on that. I mean that it's segregated generationally. The younger generations have their own culture, their own language, their own art, their own music, their own universe to themselves, which exists almost entirely online. It shouldn't be like this, and it wasn't always like this, but in the internet age, this cultural bifurcation of young and old is only getting worse.
So I don't agree with what Matt just said. So I did not have anything in common with like the old people that came to my dad's house or with my dad regardless. I played video games, and to them video game was stupid. And yeah, so I did not. Yeah, and I didn't have internet back then. Like I started getting like into the internet like now, way after I was a teenager. But before that, when I was like 10, no internet. So I don't agree with Matt in that, to be honest.
And kids have their own celebrities, too. These are people who gain tens of millions of fans, even hundreds of millions of fans, young fans, and become household names for younger people. So they're household names among the children in the household, but not the adults, while remaining almost entirely anonymous to anyone over the age of, say, 30 or 25.
So, I don't agree. In the sense, like, it's not something... What I mean, I don't agree, is, like, it's not something for today only. That you could apply that back in the day. Now, again, I would watch, like, TV. And, like, to me, like, they weren't celebrities. But you could consider the voice actor. But, like, I'll watch, like, Pokemon, and I'll be very, very into it. And it was a big deal for me. My dad never gave a crap about it. Or even music. Like, I'll listen to... I don't know, Daddy Yankee was like one of the main guys I listened to when I was younger, and Don Omar and Aventura. And you guys probably don't know that if you are not Latino. My dad wasn't into it. He was into very classic, like very, very old classic. It's so it's not something. Again, internet exists back then. Like it did, but it wasn't like widespread.
A prime example of this is YouTube star Mr. Beast. And the YouTuber known as Mr. Beast, real name Jimmy Donaldson, has 145 million subscribers on the platform. That's just for his primary channel.
I didn't know he had that much.
Several offshoot channels, each boasting millions of additional subscribers. On his main channel, Donaldson has...
On his main channel? All right, let me keep going.
3 times as many subscribers as Taylor Swift, twice as many as Justin Bieber. In fact, he has more subscribers than every pop star, more than every internet personality, more than every media or entertainment company, aside from Sony's India division. That one hasn't beat. But other than that, he has the most. He is massively successful, wildly famous, and yet I hadn't heard of him until a few months ago. I spend much of my day online for my job, unfortunately. I also have a YouTube channel of my own, which feels suddenly quite obscure by comparison. But I've only just recently become vaguely familiar with Mr. Beast. And
Yeah, okay, but that doesn't mean anything. It's not an age thing. I don't watch Mr. Beast. Like I mentioned in the last video. I know about him, but I don't watch his content. So I don't think I even subscribe to him. I might subscribe to him so his number keeps growing. But regardless of that, I don't. I feel like anyone would know about it. Now he's in his own. I hope this doesn't come out the wrong way, but he's in his own echo chamber. Like he's more into all the politics stuff and all that. He does not have the time to just watch, YouTube and just watch a random video and learn about Mr. Beast. He probably don't know who PewDiePie is, or Markiplier, or Jacksepticeye, or even smaller YouTubers, or maybe even bigger YouTubers. Because that's I'm like, we probably know more about them because we watch the gaming and stuff like that. He doesn't. I doubt he does.
Even now, I wouldn't recognize the guy if he passed me on the sidewalk. It is, to say the least, very troubling that someone can become this prominent among younger generations and have this much influence over them, and yet be so obscure to the rest of us. If you're a parent and you've made the mistake of giving your child open access to the internet, you're placing an enormous amount of faith in these influencers who are influencing your kids.
I don't like when they say that. Again, if you're a parent, you need to be in your kids' lives. Learn, talk to them, try to hear them out. Like if you're a parent and you never pay attention to your kids, or don't even, because it doesn't matter. Like kids were doing bad shit before the internet existed. They were hanging out with the wrong crowd. It wasn't a Mr. Beast. It wasn't. They were still getting influence, and it was your local Todd or local Jason or local whoever that was doing bad stuff, and then they got influenced or even peer pressured. Like, was life perfect before the internet? I think not. Because I was alive before the internet became prominent like it is today. And there was a lot of bullshit going around too. I kind of hate that. Be a fucking parent. That's it.
It is a faith that is almost always, or really always, misplaced. Because even the most family-friendly content, the most seemingly innocuous, as most of Mr. Beast's content appears to be, can subtly, or not so subtly, introduce concepts that will take your child down a very dark path. And in the case of Mr. Beast, that path has been opened by his sidekick and co-star on his videos named Chris Tyson.
Oh, now I know his last name. This dude had fucking Wikipedia everyone. I didn't know his last name was Tyson. And I like how he says sidekick. Like, what the fuck is Batman Rockman?
Tyson's a frequent collaborator with Mr. Beast and an internet celebrity in his own right, with nearly 14 million subscribers across TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. And he appears in many of Mr. Beast's videos. It's very familiar to fans of the channel. And those fans, most of them kids again, have been watching over the last few months as Tyson has transformed himself from a married man with a child to something that is supposed to look like some sort of approximation of a woman.
All right, so okay. Full disclosure, I like some of this guy's video. Like, I like some of the Matt Walsh video, especially all the clips about what is a woman. I love it because to me it makes sense. No one can give a straight answer. So I have agreement with shit, but I hate this. Like, all right, okay, fine. Chris is transitioning, and young people is gonna watch. All right then. So what the fuck we do? We kill Chris? We disappear him? What the fuck? Like, just because he decides to transition, what? Mr. Beast need to drop him right away? No, I don't agree with that. And if the parents are so worried that their kids are gonna just be like, oh, I'm gonna be trans just because Chris is doing it, then maybe they're not learning shit properly at home. If anything they see, they right away gonna go follow it. Because it's the same thing as you watch a cartoon and you see Superman fly and jump off a building, and the fucking kid goes up into the 10th floor and jumps off. Your kid was not taught pretty good shit at home, I'm pretty sure. That's one thing. That's one thing that pisses me off. Like, yeah, that's gonna happen if you don't parent. If you don't parent, then yeah, then maybe it'll happen. But okay, so what we're gonna do? Matt, what's your solution? Like, what does Mr. Beast have to do? What is that's my question to Matt. What is Mr. Beast supposed to do? He has a friend who made a decision. He wants to support his friend. Give me an answer. I want to know, Mr. Beast. I want to know, Matt. What are you expecting him to do? Or what is your solution?
Fans had noticed for several weeks as Tyson underwent a sort of bizarre physical change, not only growing his hair out, but beginning to appear increasingly frail and sickly, and started wearing women's clothes and all the rest of it. Finally, last week, Tyson came out as trans and confirmed that he's
frail and sickly. Did he look sick? He didn't look sick.
Been on hormone replacement therapy for the past 2 months. Explaining his decision, Tyson tweeted, quote, "Informed consent HRT saved my and many others' lives. The hurdles GNC, gender nonconforming people, have to jump through to get life-saving gender-affirming healthcare in a first world country is wild to me. Just let people make informed decisions about their own bodies." In response to the concerns some people have raised about the effect his transition, quote unquote, might have on his young son, Tucker, Tyson said, quote, "I know I'm going to be a great parent, and so is every other person who puts the love of their child before everything. I made this decision because I wanted to show up as my best and happiest self for him. In a way, this was for Tucker."
So 2 things. I'm gonna reiterate this from the last video. I don't agree with the life saving. I think was the term they use. I don't feel like any of that is life saving. Again, if you're not using it, you're not gonna die. Like, it's not like your body's gonna explode. I know I'm being very exaggerated, but it's not like something like that is gonna happen. You're not gonna melt or any of that. Now, mentally, it's a different situation, but that means then this is an issue with your mental health. Yeah, so that's a different story. Again, doesn't mean that I'm against. If it's your body, you want to do it, you do it. I don't give a shit. But I don't like those terms because it makes it more like for people to be like, put more eyes to it, like, oh shit, like, am I gonna die? No, you're not dying. Second, like I said, he is not doing this for his son. Like, that's fucking BS. He's doing it for himself. Because what he's doing is gonna affect his son in negative ways. I don't think like forever, but I do think that, you know, he might end up being bullied and stuff like that. Depends where he is going to school and stuff like that. But in the end of the day, that's for them to, you know, work out together and figure it out. So what I don't like is like, it's not for his son. He's doing it for himself. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, regardless, he should do whatever he wants. You know, he is an adult. He can make his decision.
Now, we'll return in a moment to the grotesque and laughable claim that he's destroying his body and denying his own manhood for the sake of his son. For the sake of his son, he says he's doing it. But first, we have Mr. Beast's own reaction to all of this. Yesterday, he sent out a tweet blasting those who've raised concerns about having a transitioning, quote-unquote, man appear constantly in videos meant for kids. He called it absurd and said that, called the concerns absurd, that is, and said that all this transphobia is starting to piss me off. Now, admittedly, Mr. Beast has been put in an extremely difficult situation because he built a multi-million-dollar empire with innocuous, family-friendly content.
Okay, but the thing is, like, family-friendly in a sense, like, he's not showing dick balls or something crazy like that, and he's not like probably cursing like crazy and stuff like that. I think I don't. Again, I don't watch his content. I'm pretty sure he doesn't show dick and balls, but just because his friend decided to transition does not make it stop being family friendly. It's like if there's a gay person in it, which I think he does have a gay friend. I forgot the name, that they were saying that that's the one that made Chris gay or a transition at this point. Then what? Like, there are families that do have people that are gay in it, and there will be more family in the future that have probably now already, but that is more that known that will have people that transition. So you can't eliminate them 100% either. One thing is if they start telling you, like, kids, like, oh, you should transition and stuff like that. I don't agree with that. But one thing is, like, you're there, you're doing it, no one mentions anything, like no one's like focusing on that, and then kids won't notice. Kids don't notice. I used to be a fucking kid. Like I said, when they would do the blackface in not Tom and Jerry, and probably Tom and Jerry, but I know in the Looney Tunes with Bugs Bunny, I didn't notice that shit. If someone were like Matt will sit there and just be telling me about it, then now I know, and my innocence will go away. So people like it's like his content's not for kids, but I doubt. But the point is, like, him just like focusing on that is like annoying, because it's like kids are not gonna notice that. Kids are gonna be there on their own shit. Now, again, I'm against forcing it on the kids, but with Mr. Beast, he's not. He's doing his shit, and Chris is there with his new look. Let it be. Let it be. If a kid have a question, that's when the parent needs to come in and explain to them their ideology. That's it.
Targeted at kids, and now his friend and collaborator and sidekick has decided to turn these videos into a sort of visual journal of his gender transition. So Mr. Beast has a choice. He can either kick Tyson off of the team and then be excoriated as a transphobe, or he can come out fully in favor of transgenderism, and he can stay, therefore, in the graces of the good graces of the media and LGBT activists, even if it means alienating a huge portion of his fan base, and especially the parents of his fan base. Well, unsurprisingly, he chose the latter. And now that he's gone down this road, there's really no coming back. You can expect much more pro-trans content from Mr. Beast going forward, which means that if you're a parent and you allow your child to watch Mr. Beast videos, now is a very good time to stop allowing that.
Like, okay, but what does he mean a journal? Like, if they're doing like day 1, my nipples are getting bigger. Day 2, I don't know, like I don't know the effects of the hormones. I'm just being stupid about it. But like, now now I got my period or something crazy. Like, I don't know. Again, I don't know the effects of the hormones. But like, if they're obviously focusing, like, his content now is not what he used to do. That he would just do like, oh, here's like $10 million, whoever's standing last or something like that. And his content is like, oh, here's $10 million, whoever transition faster is gonna win, or something crazy like that. Like, it's like focusing on that. Then yeah, I'll be like, I wouldn't want my kid to watch it. But let's say my son's watching it, and they doing the same regular thing, but Chris is like involved. He comes out and he's like, hey guys, the regular thing. They're not focusing on that he's changing, transitioning. Then I honestly don't see what's wrong with that. I don't see what's wrong with it. And again, I'm one type of person that I don't want that shit shoved down my kid's throat, because I honestly don't want my kids to have that in their head. If they grow up and they on their own decide, that's their fucking problem. But I don't want them to be influenced by media and the government and all this stupid shit. But again, it's like you can't like act like like that's gonna just change your kid right away just because they see one trans. It's like, or when they see one gay person, what, I'm gonna just like any show or anything like that shows something like that, I'm gonna immediately break it? No. Now again, not for kids. Like, I do not agree when they put like Disney is doing this for kids movie and shit like that. I don't agree in that. That I do not. I hate that shit. I don't let my kid watch those type of stuff. Quickly, Little Baby Bum is like one of those like nursery rhyme thing, and one of them they're doing the I think it was like the Charlie not Charlie, The one with the ha ha ha. I forgot Johnny. But it was like daddy, and whatever. And then it was two, two dads. I don't want my kid seeing that because he's too young. He should not watch that on a kids show. Now, when he grows up and he decides to like watch an anime or whatever that ends up having that, I don't give a shit. But he's already understanding what the fuck is going on. I don't want him to see that so early because right now he cannot comprehend. He cannot ask me a question. And that's a show specifically for kids. But if he grows up and he start watching a show like it's like whatever, then that's his problem. It's all about the age, right? Most of Mr. Beast viewers, I doubt they're 2 years old. I don't think. So, again, I don't know. And plus, it's like Chris is just there. It's not like he's there and he's like being a mom or something like that, or a dad or whatever. In the video.
We could probably assume that Mr. Beast would prefer not to have to deal with this, but Tyson has forced him to make a choice, and he chose wrong.
How did he choose wrong?
This is really the common thread. Tyson is forcing this onto people who are close to him, forcing it in more ways than one. A few months ago, Tyson posted a photo of his young son in high heels with the caption, quote, "Tucker chose to slay this morning."
See, now I would not be in agreement there. Again, you make your decision as a grown person. Like he said, he's in HR, he's on HRT, his own decision. He's an adult. Don't confuse the kids. Right? That's where, but you gotta understand, kids are gonna mimic what you do. My son, he sees me put on my shoes, he walks around the whole house with my shoes. And sometimes we have to take it off because he already busted his mouth once. So, because he fell, big shoes. So, but him putting it out there maybe wasn't the best idea, but again, that is his son, and if that's his decision, again, it is his son. That's not for me, you, or anyone, or the government to take advantage of, or not take advantage of. Say otherwise.
It's only a matter of time, we can assume, before we start hearing about Tucker's own quote-unquote gender transition journey, a journey which Tyson will claim that Tucker chose for himself, but we can clearly see who is making the choices here.
Kids follow parents. That's fine. That's fine. Well, in the same narrative. So if you're conservative, usually your kids will lean more conservative. Same if you're not conservative, the liberal. Then, and there's still times where it'll be the opposite. You could be conservative and have kids that are liberal, and you could be liberal and have kids that are conservative. But they grow up seeing all that, and then they just make up their own mind. Like, I didn't come from a great family, and I turned out really decent. I made my own decision. I changed a lot. Again, like I said, while I was playing video games, my dad never played video games. He would say it's for stupid people. So, and if Tucker decides to transition, it's his fucking problem too. Why do you care, Matt?
As for his wife, Katie, we can surmise how she feels about all this based on the fact that she is divorcing her husband. Tyson announced just a couple of weeks before coming out as trans or non-binary or whatever that he and his wife had separated and were working on quote-unquote finalizing things. So, if you're keeping score at home, Chris Tyson has destroyed his marriage, abandoned his child to a broken home, created huge problems for his friend and business partner, potentially costing him millions of subscribers and therefore millions of dollars. And he has done all of this just so that he can live out his fantasies in public.
Okay, that's his problem. How many times a household will be destroyed without anyone transitioning? There's a lot of men that will destroy their household for just a good night, a one night stand. Same with women. Same with, it doesn't have to be even, being promiscuous. It could be that it just didn't work out, or financially, or whatever. There's there's a high divorce rate, like, for a reason, and that's not all due to someone just deciding to transition. So this is like, if you're telling me that this is only something to trans people, then I'll be like, oh shit, yeah, they're fucking up. But this is something that existed for many, many, many years before the internet, and nothing, like, there's been household destroy. There's been dads that abandon their kids. Like, it's something that always existed. So it's like, why are we asphyxiating? Like, this is like, he did all this, and he's like the first person ever to do all this. All this shit happens all the time. He just chose another reason, like a different reason, and it's not even clear. Like, none of us. First of all, we shouldn't give a shit, and it's not our problem. But none of us know for a fact that that's the reason why they divorced. They probably divorced because they just ain't, like, the fire went out. Who cares? And I don't think he's gonna cost Mr. Beast millions of dollars, because he's not doing anything. Again, for a little bit I saw when they were like, Sunny B2 was talking about it, they seem to be normal. Like, it's like they just keep doing their own thing. If the content shifts to only focusing on him, that's a different story. Then yeah, he probably, gonna fuck up.
He had a beautiful wife, a child, a family, an incredible job that most people would kill for, which had made him wealthy and famous. And he pulled the pin and chucked a hand grenade into the middle of that happy and serene picture. And for what?
For happiness. Maybe he had all that and he was not happy. There we go. Just because that will make you happy doesn't mean you. What do they say? Like, well, one man's treasure is or garbage is someone else's treasure. And another thing they say usually is like, you want what you don't have, but then when you have it, you don't know, like, is that valuable shit? Like, I'm not very good with all the sayings, but like, for him, that wasn't what he wanted.
Also, that he can be his, quote, happiest self, he claims. And he achieves his happiest self by rejecting his actual self and all the responsibilities that his actual self is duty-bound to fulfill.
Okay, so what does that mean? You gonna stop paying his bills? What duty is he supposed to fulfill?
Now, Tyson is, of course, just the latest in a long line of grown married men who decide to come out as trans or non-binary. This was Rachel Levine's story. This is really a story of some of the most prominent trans activists in the country. I think grown men who transition after they've already had kids and are married, this is a demographic that is vastly overrepresented among trans activists. Now, we know that, a great many of the people who identify as quote unquote trans, you're talking a lot of this. This is because of rapid onset gender dysphoria and the social contagion factor. There's many adolescent girls who get caught up in this. But when it comes to the activists, it seems that a hugely disproportionate number of them are men, and especially men who quote unquote transitioned when they were already adults.
Because I'm pretty sure it was the same way as when you were like gay. You were forced to still like live out as a man, but you were gay. And then same scenario. I'm pretty sure that was the same scenario back in the day. That a lot of gay men eventually would divorce their woman or their wife, or maybe she'll caught him, in something that she didn't know, because he hid it for so long, but then he wasn't happy, and then he had the resistance for 30 years, but then, doesn't mean he hates his kids, doesn't mean he hated his wife. It's just like, that's it. Like, he could keep it in for so long, and now that we're in a country that is more accepting, and we're like pretty like, all right, you do you, like, you're good. Now they're able to go out. Back in the day they couldn't, because they'll lose everything. There we go. That's the whole explanation, dude.
So Tyson is then a valuable example because he reveals an important truth about the trans phenomenon. Despite what we are so often told, the decision to transition is not personal and private. Okay, it's not some sort of harmless personal decision. It's not like you're choosing an ice cream flavor at Baskin Robbins. Okay, that's a decision where you can rightly say to anybody who has an opinion about it, hey, this doesn't affect you, okay? What do you care? That's not this. You're doing something that will have a dramatic, life-altering, devastating effect on those who are closest to you. This is not a private journey that you walk alone. You are dragging others with you.
How are you dragging others with you? How? This is not something new. Man is married, has a mistress, wife finds out, wants a divorce, drag everyone with him. Same scenario. And there's many more. What I'm trying to say is it's his decision. Let him do it. It's like he was not happy. Again. And who else is he dragging? His friends? Why? What, Mr. Beast cannot be his friend anymore? Like, is it a bad thing?
Whether they want to go or they don't. And almost always, they don't. Indeed, all of Western society has been dragged into this. We are all impacted, and profoundly so, by individuals who refuse to accept reality and live as themselves. But those who are closest to the impact site will feel it the most. And many of them will end up buried under the rubble, starting first and foremost with the families. This is why a grown man like Chris Tyson, who makes this choice, really does not deserve our sympathy or our understanding. And I know saying that will probably get me in trouble yet again with many on the right who say, well, we got to be sympathetic and nice about this. Not to these people. Because he is engaging in the ultimate act of family-wrecking narcissism.
No, he's, like, not really. Like, look. For all life, back in the day, shit like this existed. There were people that made the decision, they got with their wife, whatever, and then realized that that's not the person they really loved. I know, that maybe spend longer time or wait till you're like married before you have sex and all that. Okay, fine. None of that guarantees that you're gonna be with the person for the rest of your life and raise the perfect kids. Because back in the day, that was the tradition, and there was still crime. There were still piece of shit people in the street. There were still evil people that did not fucking do shit. Oh, but there's more. No, there's not. I don't go walking around and see every person that is a trans just shooting everyone. I go eat and then I get beat up by a trans. Like, I haven't seen that. To be honest, I've not even seen like trans just walking around, to be honest. And if I do, I'm pretty sure they just walk by and I didn't even notice them. Why? Because I don't give a shit. Like, there's people everywhere. I don't focus on everyone. I can't focus, and it's like, who the fuck cares? Who the hell cares? Let him be him. He made the decision. His wife made the decision. They got together. She knew, like, he was supposedly bi for a very long time. And she was okay with it. And then now he wants to transition. Then she has to be okay with it. Whether she wants to or not. Because she got with him with his ways. You can't have it both ways. And besides that, it's a decision between him and the wife. They decided to have the kid. And that was their decision too. This is stuff for them. And it's like, sympathetic in what sense? What do you need to be sympathetic for them? Like, if they are suffering because people are attacking them, why can't we be sympathetic? Why do we have to attack or be happy about that? That's not something to be happy about. He made a decision, and it's not, and it's a decision that obviously is very like mental heavy driven, because he already has issue mentally with the whole situation and how it's gonna affect. And then now he's gonna get all the people, plus of his status, like he's Mr. P's friend and stuff. Now he's gonna get people backlashing like crazy and harassing and shit. Like, what are you're gonna celebrate if he takes his life? Is that That's what you want? Just because he's making a decision that literally does not affect you in any shape or form. Like Matt or me or anyone watching, unless you're like his son, this does not affect you at all. At all. Not at all. Not one iota. Like you could go to sleep and forget about it. You go take a shit and forget about it. And then he hurts himself. That's it. That's what accomplishment did we like accomplish? What was the end goal? I honestly I again I agree with stuff, but I don't agree with this.
It is the deepest betrayal of his marriage vows, of his responsibility as a husband and a father. And even worse, he's dismantling his family in a way that society approves of, which means that his wife can't object to the total demolition of her family and her marriage. She can't cry out in anger or sadness while her husband takes a wrecking ball to her life without being labeled a transphobe and a bigot.
She could. She could go cry. Who cares? If she gets labeled whatever, who the fuck cares? But again, she got with him and he was not straight. From what I saw from the Sunny V2, he already for a long time, while he was married, I'm pretty sure even before, I don't know the timeline, you guys could correct me, he was bi. So she knew what was going on. So, you know, and the vows and stuff like that, how many times there's a regular man and woman straight from back in the days that broke them. No fucking difference. And with him, it's like, that's it. Like, love that just ended. It's not, or whatever happened. It's not our problem.
Which is probably why she's remained silent through all this. As far as I know, she hasn't said anything publicly.
Why should she say something public? And another thing is, like, why should she be public about it? Why do we need to know? Why do we give a shit?
She's not even afforded the dignity of her grief. She is deprived of the right to be angry about this terrible thing that has been done to her. Okay, you're a grown adult man, you have a wife, and you transition. That is something you are doing to your wife.
What is Chris doing to his wife? I want to know, what is he doing to his wife?
And to yourself, but also to your wife. A man who has an affair, and leaves his wife for another woman, at least that guy has the decency to wreck his marriage in a way that allows his wife to hate him for it.
Okay, it's still fucking wrong, isn't it not? He destroyed the vows. He cheated on her, which is again destroying the vows, and dismantled the family, and also fucked the kid. Because in the end of the day, he just dismantled everything. Oh, well, that one isn't as bad as now you want to transition. It's the same fucking shit.
And her anger will be validated by society. Men like Chris do the same kind of thing, yet they do it in a manner that calls for the wife's understanding. Very often we hear about men who transition with their wives' alleged support, and yet the details don't really add up. So, for example,
she can hate him regardless. Who cares? She can hate him. She don't have to be public about it. And you shouldn't even be public about if you get cheated on. That should not be public either. Because that's still demeaning. Like, you're putting yourself out there so people can talk shit about you. Oh, why did they? What you didn't do? You didn't do a good job being a wife. Why did he cheat on you? Were you like, something wrong with you? In this case, the same shit. She's doing the right strategy. Making the right call. Don't be public about it. Who cares? She can still hate him. She can still be angry. She still doesn't need to accept him. And that's it. But what is she gonna do? Stop him? She can't stop him. Same as if he were just having an affair with another woman and leaves her, she can't stop him. It's like, it'll be the same shit.
A woman named Deborah tweeted this to me yesterday in response to one of my tweets. She said, quote, My best friend Katie transitioned with the full support of her spouse, and in fact, they still live together even though they're officially divorcing. Not everyone has the same story. This is quite a beautiful story. I'm proud to have Katie as my friend. Yes, his spouse fully supports it. She thinks it's great. I mean, really, she's so happy about it. She really is. Also, on a totally unrelated note, they're getting a divorce. Because that's obviously what you do when your spouse makes a decision that you absolutely support. You divorce them for it.
You could support them in the sense like, okay, they want to transition, but technically, I might be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, if you're transitioning to be a woman, then that means you may not be into women anymore. Or you can still be bi, but maybe you're not into women. And with the hormones and stuff, maybe your anatomy doesn't work the same, and the woman still wants to be with a man, so she decides to divorce him, or he decides to divorce her. Who knows? Or it's like mutual. In the end of the day, first of all, none of us should give a shit. Second of all, that doesn't mean she cannot support him transitioning. I still don't get that part. Like we're putting in too much stuff, and it should be like taken apart.
Obviously, the claims about supportive wives are always fictional in these cases. I mean, always.
You don't know that. There might be wives that are okay with it. They've been with their husband long enough, and they found out that they swung that way, and they were like, you know what? Fuck it. Excuse me. Be happy. Like, if you love someone, you want them to be happy. If you love someone, you want them to be happy. That's how it is. Like, it's maybe sometimes might hurt, but it is what it is.
In every case, when a married man decides to quote unquote transition, the wife does not support it.
You don't know that, Matt. Have you spoken to everyone? Like, you don't know that. You can't confirm that. Just because is your ideology doesn't mean everyone. There might be people out there that are open-minded. They're like, you know what? Fuck it. I love you. I want you to be happy. If this makes you happy, fine. Because in the end, in the long run, they were gonna end up getting a divorce, whether they make their life miserable or not.
And I don't care what the wife says about it publicly. She doesn't support it. And I know that because these women married men. Okay? They didn't marry some kind of vague, ambiguous notion of a person. They didn't just say, oh, I'm marrying a person. It doesn't matter what they are, or what they look like, or anything. It's just a person. No, they married men. Men with definite characteristics, both physical and not. It is a form of abandonment, the worst form, in fact.
Okay, they marry men, but forget men. They married the person that they felt like they were in love with. But that could change. Love is not static. Like, it doesn't just stay there or just grow. It could grow. It could get, could drop off. It doesn't matter. Again, a woman that gets, cheated on will go through the same pain. It's not like, yeah, it'll be more like, people would tease it more, be like, oh, you suck so much that, you made him transition. Yeah, that will happen. That's something that, and like, especially the Spanish culture, like my dad would say that and shit like that. Even I have, joke around and says shit like that, but not with trans, usually with, like gay people and stuff like when we would fuck around. But in the end of the day, that's not like true. That's just like, if regardless what happens, woman that wife will be hurt regardless. Same thing as if you're a man and your wife leaves you for another woman or decides to transition, is the same shit as if she cheats on you with another dude. Like, the pain is there. The pain is there. The only difference here is if he, like, they spoke about it and he's like, look, this is what I want to do. Never was an affair. Like, he never had an affair. Then that hurts less because they spoke about it and they came up to a conclusion of divorcing. So in other words, in a sense, it's kind of better because you're not having an affair and it's like in secrecy. It's like, actually, now that I think about it, that's way better. Like, it's better for the person to come out and be like, hey, look, I still love you, but like, I'm not into you like this anymore. I'm into this. I want to transition, and yeah, I understand we're gonna get divorced because you may want to, be married to a man, blah blah blah. But I still want to transition. Is what's gonna make me happy. Boom, and it happens, and that's like way better than he goes fucks another girl and then she finds out. That is way better in a sense. So his argument is pretty stupid because he's like saying like it's okay to like cheat. I'm surprised because super conservative. I don't know if he's religious. He's probably religious and shit like that. So that's a big no. But hey, now we okay with that one. It's not as bad, but but don't transition. That's way worse. So in the end of the day, is like, what game are we playing? Like that's a big ass contradiction there.
To intentionally strip away and attempt to change everything about yourself that your wife thought she married. I mean,
but that happens all the time. There's some people that I want to get to a point right quick. I don't know if he's religious. I don't watch all his stuff. I know he's like super conservative, but I don't know if he's religious. But one thing I want to mention is like with how the conservatives are and stuff like that, that's still wrong. You shouldn't cheat. So now that to me it's hypocritical, like being like, oh yeah, I'm super conservative, it's bad cheating and stuff like that. But now this is a bigger evil to me. So this is not as bad as doing this. That's how I feel. Going back to what he was just saying right now, is like that happens all the time. You marry someone, even physically, and then they deteriorate physically, and there's been cases where people will separate. Not all the time is really good, but it happens. Or the person, let's say, doesn't care about themselves anymore, they end up becoming alcoholic. This is just an example. It's not for everyone, it doesn't apply for everyone, but they become an alcoholic. They start getting fat and shit like that because now they don't love each other. They don't keep up their hair and stuff like that, and then that's not what the person married. And then they want to divorce them. Yeah, you try to work it out. It doesn't work. You divorce them. So it's like this happens. It doesn't only have to do with your gender. It just doesn't have only to like. This is not only something that applies only for someone that is trying to transition. This applies for a lot of more things.
I mean, to deliberately attempt to become the opposite of what you are and what your wife married. It is, again, an extreme betrayal of your marriage vows. You are taking your wife's husband away from her. You're taking your child's father away from him.
Again, you have an affair, doing the same shit. Doing the same shit. I don't see how one is better than the other.
And the best you can do to justify that decision is to say that it makes you happy. So even by your own telling, even according to your own rationalization, you are choosing your happiness over the needs and desires and the happiness of your family.
Yeah. Yeah. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? I don't have, I'm not against that. I'm not against people choosing to be happy. Because in the end of the day, it's your life. Yeah, you have a kid and all that, okay. So, it's your life. Be happy.
See, here's the thing. Transitioning is wrong always and every time. First, because it's impossible. You cannot transition from one sex to the other. But even if we lived in the sort of science fiction universe where such a thing was possible, it would still be wrong to do it when you're married and you have a child.
So, I agree that you can't transition 100%, right? And that there is the point where I'm like in agreement. That's what I'm saying. Like I agree with a lot of stuff they say, especially like Matt Walsh, like the whole "what is a woman." I have not watched the whole documentary, but only clips. Technically, being honest, Chris will never really be a full woman unless he genetically is able to alter that, which may be a science for the future. So yeah, because he is just not possible. If I get hate, I'm sorry. But sorry, not sorry, type of thing. Like, it's just true. But that doesn't mean that someone can't do it. It's their body. It's the same way how girls get boobs, like bigger boobs, or do liposuction. That's not their body. They making it, they reconstructing it, and no one has a problem with that. So why is someone transitioning to make themselves feel good and be happy is bad now? Like, is their decision again? It's not affecting any of us 100%, or not even 5% or 1%. It's not affecting any of us. So that's where it's like, who cares?
Like, if I believed in the reality of transitioning, I would still say that by the time you get married and conceive a child, the transition ship has sailed. It is your responsibility now, it's your obligation to suppress that part of you and live as the man that your wife and child need you to be.
Well, but you don't know, Matt. Like, in the end of the day, it depends when they felt that way. They could feel one way, today, and then it changed. Or again, a lot of this was not super accepted like 10 years ago. I don't know how long he's been, Chris been married. And, he had an image too to support and stuff like that. So it's not as easy. Maybe in 10, 20, 30 years, it'll be a different story. And this won't happen as much. That people won't wait until they're married to transition or to become or decide to transition, because it's more open. So people will do it whenever they feel like it's the best time. And they don't have to live a lie. But you don't know why Chris had to live his lie. Maybe it wasn't a lie. Maybe they feel like a man to a certain point, and then he's like, or he been suppressing, and this is his limit. Like, who knows? Only Chris knows. You don't know. I don't know. Any of us don't know. So that's where I'm like, and that's probably why a lot of this is happening with married men, because of how long this was not really accepted. Now it's being more accepted, so everyone's being able to do it. It's the same thing as when video games. Look, now everyone's a gamer. You don't know who's a gamer anymore. Back in the day when I was going to school, if you were a gamer, you were a nerd. And thank God I always stood my ground. But if you were a nerd that played video games, you'll get bullied. And that was not right. So,
but it's not possible. And so the reality is so much worse. You're setting it all on fire. You're burning your life to the ground in pursuit of something you can never attain. You had something real and beautiful, and now you have nothing but a fantasy, a figment of your imagination. But at least you're happy, right? Except even your happiness is fake. Your happiness is as real as your womanhood. You aren't happy. Nobody is now. That was a trade-off. And it's never worth it. And that'll do it for the show, or for this portion of shows. Move over to members.
So I would say I don't really agree with what Matt was saying, especially towards the end. So I would say, again, he's like, Chris is gonna be happy with his decision, and however he get to, or whatever point he gets to where he's comfortable, that's his happiness. That's not for me, him, or anyone else to decide for him. For him, it might be a fantasy, but for Chris, it may not be. So let him decide. I don't feel like he's destroying everything around him or setting everything on fire. I feel like that was what he was probably living until he decided to transition. He probably was living that everything was being destroyed, and he was in the middle of the fire because he was not happy. So that's how it is. But besides that, that's his decision. Like, he has a kid, he has a wife. That's something where they have to pull through together. Same way as other family pulls through with stuff that has happened and no one even talk about. Again, you have an abusive parent or an alcoholic in the family or whatever, and people don't even talk about that anymore because it's a norm now. It's expected. And now that, Chris decides to transition and other people, then like, especially because Chris is such a big image in the Mr. Beast content, and business. Mr. Beast is the basically the biggest YouTuber, and everyone wants to always talk shit about him. Now this is like the only thing to brand him, like, Mr. Beast is now like, now he went the wrong route because he has to kick Chris. No, like, he don't have to kick Chris unless he wants to. Like, if he feels like Chris is bad business, he kicks him. But he had enough time to talk about that with Chris. Maybe this is like a pilot. He's like, all right, well, let's give it a try. If everything fucks up, peace out, dude. Like, I love you. You're my best friend. You're my bro. But hey, man, or or whatever. I'm not sure if you want to call him bro anymore. But we're best friends and stuff like that. But you are affecting the channel. It's gonna affect us all, and the whole ship is gonna sink. And that's it. And then he owns it. He's like, hey, look, it didn't work out. That's it. And whatever he does, he's gonna get hate regardless, from both sides, 3 sides, every side, circle, by everything. So again, to me, Mr. Beast should decide whatever he wants, unless he's just being like, obviously if he's doing it because he wants to be mean or something, then no. But for whatever, like, if he wants to protect his brand or whatever, that's his decision. He is a business dude. And Chris, he makes his decision, and his family is his issue. So yeah, I'm gonna check out Michael Knowles too, and I think these videos are longer than I expected because I have so much to say. But I hope you guys enjoy, and just let me know in the comment section what you guys think. And I feel like it's cool to see other people's perspective, especially like people, especially like the super conservative. I feel like they have like so much to say that it's like, it's wild. To me, it's wild because it's like they make a big emphasis like that. I kind of like feel like they contradict, like, oh, if you don't parent, then your kid's gonna be influenced. Then why aren't we parenting? Oh, if he transition, he's destroying a family. But then, like, if you have an affair and destroy the family, it's more extreme to break your vows when you transition. It's like, okay, like, so if you kill someone, but you're not so extreme, you stab them once and they die, it's not as bad as if you stab them 50 times. But the end result is the same. You kill someone. Like, I know it sounds exaggerated what I'm saying, but it's the same shit. It's like the end result is the same. It's just the process to get there is different. But we're like, yeah, but this one isn't as bad as this one. It's like that to me. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? But let me know. Alright guys, love you guys, Super Saiyan Gang. We're out.